We got some freshmen that are going to be very intriguing to watch coming up. We'll discuss which freshmen we're most excited about, keys to the game, and we'll give you our pick, as well as games we're going to be watching on Saturday and Sunday. Coming up next here on Locked On.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
College football is back, and it's not too late to catch up before the season kicks off. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12. You can get it all from Locked On's stable of college experts by subscribing to the Locked On College Football Podcast. Who has a chance to make the playoff? What teams will cause chaos in their new conferences? Everything you need to know all in one place. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Locked On College Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, which freshman are you most excited to see take the field on Friday night?
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go back to what I said before, Michael Hawkins, man. I'm really excited to see him come out there with the reserves and make it happen, because the expectation is that we're going to go through this game rather quickly, and by halftime, we should start seeing our two deep. And if that's the case, I want Hawkins, right? I want to see if he can go out there, command the offense, and not only get some yards in the air, but also get some yards on the ground. That's who I'm really eyeballing on the offensive side. Then, of course, defensively, it's super simple. I would go with the chalk statement of like a Jaden Jackson, but I'm not. Danny Okoye. I want to see what Danny's going to look like when he gets on the field and if he's really going to terrorize. And when I say terrorize, I mean terrorize all those opposing teams. That's the ones that I'm really excited about. What about you?
Michael Hawkins is a fun one, because I don't know if we've seen somebody that has the potential for electricity like him since maybe Kyler was here. Somebody who's got as much speed and athleticism at the quarterback position as Michael Hawkins does. Like, Jalen was great. Like, he was a great runner, but I don't think he maybe was as fast as Michael Hawkins. And we know that Caleb was a really good runner as well, but I don't know if he had that kind of same agility, that lateral quickness, that kind of stuff that I think we'll see from Michael Hawkins. So I think Seth Luttrell will get him out in space. Let him use his legs on some play action bootlegs, things like that. Let him use some, read option stuff, some RPO stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Get him involved that way and just see what we got. They put a lot of faith in him to be the backup quarterback. And so now it's time to kind of put that faith to the test a little bit. And I'm with you, man. I'm excited to see him. I want to see the safety duo, the Bash brothers, man. Reggie Powers and Michael Boganowski.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that, we've been talking a lot about those two dudes all off season long. They've kind of lived up to expectations so far in spring ball and fall camp and continually created buzz for themselves. And I think you're going to get an opportunity to see those two, and you're not going to experience a whole lot of tenacity drop off when you go from your starters to those two true freshmen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I was hoping running back room we'd see a little bit more right out of it, but at the same time, we understand we've got some pretty good depth there, right? I think the offensive line will definitely probably see like an EPL, a Eugene Brooks, a Josh Isosa, right? I expect to see one of those three. I would kind of like to see EPL kind of show up in some random, offensive formations, just for fun. See if we can put the big man back there and let him run down somebody's throat. That would be a good time. But I do expect to see some freshmen actually play on the offensive line late in the game. So I'm kind of curious to see how they handle their first time on the field, being underneath the lights at the Palace on the Prairie, and just take it all in, right? I can totally see I could see those offensive linemen, like I said, getting in there, and I'm ready to see if they're ready to, seize that moment. But the Bash brothers is a really good one because, boy, those two, I expect them to play. They're like, you kind of have to. And I think it's less about, like, needing them in game, more so doing it for the fans. You got to do it for the fans. After we saw what Boganowski did in the spring game, fans are calling for him. They're gonna be calling for Baba Yaga or the Boogeyman.
Yeah,
you kind of got to put him on the field for the people.
And I think Brent Venables and Zach Alley and Brandon Hall are going to want him to let him kind of unleash some of that pent up physicality on somebody other than his own teammates. you know?
Right.
His
Val
teammates
Sherman
on
had
the offensive side of the
PTSD.
ball are like, finally, like, he can go hit somebody else now, please. Like, we're tired of him hitting us. David Stone's another one, dude. I know that's kind of the easy one, the layup right there. But especially after Brent Venables talked about how hard he worked this offseason, his first offseason with the Sooners, saying nobody works harder than David Stone. Dude, I think that's high praise. So even if the kid is not a starter and, you know, he's going to be part of the rotation at defensive tackle, but I'm excited to see what we got in him so far and what kind of potential he has just this season. Like we've always talked about, the developmental track for everybody is not the same. And so just because fellow freshman Jaden Jackson's starting and David Stone's not, that doesn't say anything about David Stone whatsoever. But I am excited to see what he's got and what he's going to be capable of this season. Anybody that isn't a freshman that you're looking forward to seeing what they look like now that they've had another offseason with Jerry Schmidt and Brent Venables and this staff?
Kip Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see if Kip is ready to take that next step up at the linebacker spot. Kobe McKenzie and Lewis Carter. All three of those are the guys that I'm really curious to see if they're ready to take that step up and actually kind of seize the spot right there next to Danny Stutzman. And I also want to see if Jaren Canning. So if I really think about it, the entire linebacker room, I really want to see what they look like and see if they're able to control those positions that they need to. Because we all know the importance of the linebacker spot in a Brent Venables defense, right? That's like really critical to running it. You have to be in your position if you want the system to work. And if these guys are out there able to command it, our linebacker room should be terrifying.
I want to see some good old like Baltimore Ravens 5 linebacker sets.
Ooh.
You know, like with Dominic Williams at nose tackle, and then, you know, Danny and Kip and Jaren and Kobe and Lewis Carter or Sam Omasigo. Like, I want to see something interesting like that, because you're so deep at linebacker that you have the ability and the luxury to get a little bit creative to where the offense doesn't know where that second, third, fourth, or fifth rusher is going to come from and who's going to drop. I think that could be a really, really interesting deployment of that group. If we're talking about guys that have been in the program, another one, man, I want to see Jake Taylor. Like, this is a 4-star product that you've had in your program now for several years, and now's his time. Now's the opportunity for him to take that step and become a significant part of Bill Bedenbaugh's offensive line. What does he look like? I mean, he's got the frame, he's got the size, like all the measurables are right there. I've heard nothing but glowing things about him and his ability all offseason. Is he ready to take that step?
Yep.
Because you're going to need him. You're going to need him to take a big, big step for you. So what are we looking for? What are the keys to this game for us as OU goes against Temple? We'll pick the game against the spread. We'll also tell you which week 1 games we're most looking forward to watching. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
So when it comes to meal prep and being prepared to eat, I have a tendency of being too busy. And when it comes to my kids, from soccer practice to volleyball to basketball, we get home late or they need something quick to eat. That's why I love Factor, man. You should check them out. They've got over 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from. And every week, you always have new flavors to explore. We jump into a few. Like, one I love is their smoked Gouda chicken. Oh, it's fantastic. And the kids eat it up. The best part about it is that it's good for crushing all of your wellness goals. You know, they got dietitian approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. And so because of that, the kids can grab it 2 minutes in the microwave and boom, they've got themselves a healthy meal, especially if they want to be world-class athletes. They got to put world-class food into their system. So you got to check it out. Head over to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50. That's 50, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That code LOCKEDONCollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
Passion, drive, and patience What brings home the winning championship is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts. For your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.